One kid killing the parents is a bad seed. 2 kids killing the parents is a bad family.
And the papers, you say, these are things that had his handwriting on them?
No, well, some had his handwriting on papers, and then the other ones were the UCLA form sheets and course sheets explaining what all the different courses you could take in your first semester, I guess second semester, and your second year, and so on and so on.
Okay. So he had mapped it all out?
Yes.
And he was telling you what you were going to take?
Yeah, we were talking about, I guess it was orientation or registration. I'm not sure if the two were combined.
What is registration?
When you sign up for the courses.
Okay, go on.
And he was telling me that we had a problem.
We had a problem?
Yes, that's how he would talk.
Okay, and what was the problem?
He said that the problem was that the parents could not be there.
Back up from the mic.
He said that the parents could not be there at registration.
That was the problem?
Yes, and so the problem was that if one of the courses that he had lined up for me was filled, that I would have to pick the alternate courses. And so he wanted me to go to a payphone and call him and tell him what courses were available and not, and that's why he had his alternative course sheets.
So he expected you to telephone him from registration so that you could tell him what courses you were taking, or he could tell you what alternative to take? Which was it?
Well, I could tell him both. I could tell him what courses I could take. And
were available, and
therefore he would be able to tell me which courses to sign up for.
So he was going to pick which classes that you registered for?
Yes.
And what else did he say about how you were going to deal with college in that conversation?
He told me that I was going to be staying home a few nights a week, that I was going to have my bedroom where it was, and it was going to be my bedroom, and that he wanted me to come home and eat and study with him several nights a week so that my grades would stay up and that he would be able to keep apprised of what was going on.
Now, was that a significant piece of information for you?
Yes.
And how did you react to hearing that he expected you to sleep at home?
I asked him what he meant. What he meant I was going to be staying home with my bedroom there and so on. And he said that I was going to be sleeping home several nights a week so that I could, at dinner and after dinner, go over my work with him. And I couldn't accept what he was saying.
What do you mean you couldn't accept it? You said, "No, Dad, I'm not going to do that." Is that what happened?
No, I just kept asking him what he meant. I couldn't accept what he was saying.
Why?
Because he was saying I was going to have to live at home as well as living at college, and
what?
I didn't expect that.
Okay, you didn't expect that. Did you like that idea?
I hated the idea.
Why?
Because my entire dream had been to go to college and to leave home, and for the last several years, all I thought about was going to college, and suddenly he was telling me that I was going to be living at home and that
Well, what did you think that meant with respect?
Let him finish the answer. Did you finish your answer?
No.
Go ahead.
And he was going to be telling me that I was going to be living at home and that basically the sex was going to continue.
Did he say the sex is going to continue?
No, he didn't say that, but that's what I knew it meant.
That's what you believed it meant?
Yes.
And how did that make you feel?
It made me feel lost. It made me feel like it made me feel like the hope that I had was gone, and that suddenly this was gonna continue throughout college, and I felt like I was crumbling. I felt like nothing mattered anymore, that it was gonna continue.
Emotionally, what did you convey to your father during this meeting, if anything? How did you visibly react?
I guess I just acted stunned. I don't know how I reacted.
Did you cry?
No.
Did you ask him if you couldn't stay at school or take other classes?
No, I knew what he was saying, and I knew there was no arguing about it. I asked him what he meant several times, and he spelled it out for me pretty clearly, and I just realized what he was saying.
And do you recall what time of day this particular conversation took place?
Yes.
When was it?
Late afternoon.
And after that conversation, what did you do?
I went up to my bedroom.
And what did you do?
I just laid in my bed and cried and felt sorry for myself.
And what were you sorry about?
I was sorry that it was going to continue, that I wasn't going to get away from college, and I just didn't care about life anymore. I didn't care about things that were going to happen. I couldn't let this go on with my father, and I didn't know what to do.
Well, what did you consider?
I considered just killing myself.
Did you consider killing your father?
No, not at that time.
Were you feeling angry? Were you feeling depressed? Were you feeling sad? What were you feeling at that point?
I was extremely sad. I felt like nothing mattered anymore. I felt like the one thing that I'd been living for suddenly was taken away from me, and I didn't care about life anymore.
Was your social life better when you lived in California versus when you lived in New Jersey, or was it worse, or was it the same?
It was better.
And what was different about your social life in California than when you lived in New Jersey?
I had a lot more friends. I was able to go out with my friends. I was able to hang out with my friends, and suddenly I felt more important.
You popped the mic.
I felt more important.
Okay. Did you feel liked by friends?
Yes.
During those years in California, did you ever think about what would happen if any of your friends knew? Did you think about that?
I thought about it all the time.
And what did you think?
I couldn't accept the fact that they might be able to find out. I was never going to let them find out, and that's just all I thought. I never thought about what would happen if they knew, because that just was not going to happen.
Well, were you concerned about people knowing?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want them to know, or did you not want them to know?
No, I did not want them to know.
Why?
Overall,
Why didn't you want them to know?
we specify what it is that he didn't want them to know.
Why did you not want them to know that you were a boy who had sex with his father?
Because I didn't want to be humiliated. I wanted them to like me. I wanted them to think that I was a friend of theirs, and I just wanted to be one of them.
One of the boys?
Yeah.
Did you think what was happening with you and your father was normal or abnormal?
I knew it was extremely abnormal, and I wasn't going to let anyone find out.
Did you think what was happening with your father was all his fault, or did you think it was partly your fault?
No, I thought it was partly my fault.
In what way was it your fault?
That I never stopped him, and then I let it go on, and just those reasons.
Did you have a high opinion of yourself because of what was going on with your father? A low opinion? No opinion?
I thought I was a coward.
What else?
I hated myself for it, and I knew I should have stopped it.
Okay. Now, what did you do after you went through this period of feeling sad and feeling sorry for yourself?
I just cried a lot and decided to leave.
To leave?
To leave. I decided to go over to a friend's house.
You mean to leave the house?
Yes.
And what did you do based on that decision, if anything?
I packed my bags.
Back up a little.
I started to pack a big bag, duffel bag.
A big duffel bag?
One of my tennis bags.
Okay. How long were you planning to stay at a friend's house?
Just for a few days.
And had you ever done that before?
I had stayed at a friend's house for a day, but never for a few days, no.
Did you think your parents would let you?
I really didn't care.
So you packed this tennis bag?
Yes.
Did something happen while you were in the process of packing it?
Yes.
What happened?
my mom came into the room. She knocked on the door, and I opened it, and she saw what I was doing. And
Why didn't she just walk in? Why did you have to open the door?
I always kept my door locked.
Did everybody in that house always keep their doors locked?
Yes.
And after your mother came in, what happened next?
She looked at what I was doing, and she said, "Where the hell do you think you're going?" And I said, "Just for over a friend's house for a few days." And she said, "No, you're not." And she just started throwing the clothes out of the duffel bag. And
what did you do?
I just watched.
And what happened after that?
She screamed and said a few more things about how I wasn't going to leave. And then she ran out of the room.
She ran out of the room?
Marched.
Marched?
She ran and marched out of the room.
She left the room in a hurry?
Yes.
What kind of emotional condition was she in when she left?
She was very angry.
Why was she angry?
We had a fight before, a year before, about it.
A fight with whom?
We had an argument with my mom a year before, the same sort of argument.
About what?
About running away.
A year before there was an argument about running away?
Yes.
Well, did you tell your mother on this occasion, "I'm running away, I'm going forever"?
No, that was the year before.
On this occasion, where did you tell her you were going?
I just told her I was going over to my friend's house for a few days.
Did you tell her why?
No.
Did she ask why?
No.
So what did the year before have to do with the condition she was in when she left your room?
I just knew as soon as she walked in the room that there was going to be a problem, and I didn't even bother.
Well, what was her emotional condition? I'm not clear. Was she upset? Was she sad? Was she in despair that her son...
When she walked in the room?
When she walked out of the room?
She was furious.
She was angry?
She was angry, yes.
Okay. Did you have permission to run away from home?
No.
Was she angry the year before when you told her you wanted to do that?
Yes.
And after your mother left the room angry, did someone else come to your room?
Yes.
And who was that?
My father.
And did he say anything to you?
Yes.
What did he say?
He asked me if I had a problem, and he asked me what I thought I was doing, and pushed me against the window, and I came up real close, and he said, "You planning on going somewhere?" And I said,
Now,
"No."
are you remembering this verbatim? You remember every word he said?
No, I just remember the feeling that I had and what he did.
Is this the substance of the conversation?
Yes.
Okay. And what else, if anything? What were the other things he said?
He told me that he was leaving this week and that I had better be there when I get back.
When you get back?
When he gets back.
Okay.
He said that he was leaving that week and that he would deal with me then.
Deal with you when?
When he got back.
And what did that mean to you?
I figured what it would mean. I figured that it would mean that he would punish me in some way.
Mr. Menendez, you have to sit back. You keep popping the mic. Try to sit back.
I figured that it would mean he would punish me in some way, in the way he always did.
It wasn't what?
In the way he always did.
Did he strike you during this conversation?
No.
And after, I take it he left after telling you he would deal with you when he got back?
Yes.
And how did you feel after he left? Were you still going to pack and go to a friend's house?
No, you see, the state I was in at the time, I just didn't care. It just, after my dad told me that I wasn't gonna get away from him in essence, instead of going to college, that I was gonna have to stay at home several nights a week, I just didn't care. Nothing seemed to matter to me anymore, and life just seemed to fold right in front of me, and I didn't care whether he hit me. I didn't care whether he killed me. It didn't matter to me anymore, because if I wasn't going to get away from that, then who cared? And so he did what he wanted. It didn't matter anymore.
Well, are those the thoughts that went through your mind after he left?
those were the thoughts that were there the whole day and the next day.
Okay. And were you then getting ready to put up with the same activity for the next few years that you had been putting up with for the previous 12?
No.
What were you thinking of doing?
I was thinking of just killing myself. I was in a daze and I didn't know what to do. And I just wanted to die. Life no longer mattered. And I didn't know what to do. I thought of telling Lyle. I thought I couldn't do that it would be too embarrassing, and that I couldn't admit it. And I just...
So 2 things occurred to you. One, to kill yourself, and the other, to tell Lyle?
Yes.
Over the years, the 12 years, had you ever told Lyle?
No.
Were you ever accused by your father of having told Lyle?
Yes.
And approximately when was that?
When I was about 11.
When you were about 11?
Yeah.
Lyle would have been 13 or 14?
Somewhere right around there.
And on that occasion when your father accused you of telling Lyle, was it true? Had you told him?
No.
Now, on this occasion, you said you considered telling Lyle.
Yes.
What do you think Lyle could do?
I really didn't know. I really didn't. It wasn't a thought that I had planned out. It was just a thought because I didn't really want to die, and I was very afraid that I would. And maybe it was partly to tell Lyle, because that's what my dad always never wanted me to do. I don't know. I needed help in some way, and I just thought about telling Lyle.
Did you think about ways to kill yourself?
Yes.
What ways did you think about?
I thought about just hanging myself. I thought about cutting my wrists. I thought about driving off a cliff, something that I wanted to do before.
Had you, in 1986 and 1987, come across any suicide letters written by your mother?
Yes.
In any letter of your mother's that you saw, did she ever indicate the methods that she was contemplating using to kill herself?
Yes.
And what do you recall reading in those letters of your mother?
She wanted to shoot herself.
Did you come across any letter where she indicated she would sit in the bathtub with a razor in her hand and consider slitting her wrists?
Yes.
Did you picture yourself doing that after this confrontation with your parents?
Yes. I had pictured it many times before.
Had you thought of suicide before this week?
Yes.
Now, do you have any memory at all, Mr. Menendez, of what you did the Monday before your parents died?
No.
Do you have a memory of every single day that summer?
No.
Do you have a memory, though, of every day after that Monday until your parents died?
Yes.
Starting then with Tuesday, what do you remember about Tuesday, August 15th, 1989?
I remember trying to play tennis in the morning, not caring enough about it, and stopping.
What was your general mood that morning?
I was just very down, very depressed.
Okay, depressed.
Yeah.
And what else do you recall happening that Tuesday?
I recall a fight between my brother and my mother.
Now, what was your understanding that Tuesday about where your father was?
He was out of town.
And do you know when it was he left?
I believe on Monday. I'm not quite sure.
Did you usually know in advance when your father was leaving on a business trip?
No.
Did he go on a lot of business trips?
Oh yeah, he went on business trips all the time.
And how would you become aware of the fact that he was on a trip?
Either my mother would tell me, or he would call and I'd talk to him on the phone.
But he never bothered telling you his schedule, where he was going or when?
No.
On this week, though, he did actually tell you in advance that he was going on a trip that week, did he not?
Yes.
Did he tell you specifically when he was leaving and when he was coming back?
No, all he told me is that I'd better be there when he got back. I didn't know when that really was until I asked my mother.
And what did you learn after asking your mother? When was he due back?
Thursday.
Now, on Tuesday, what else do you remember besides not being able to practice tennis in the morning?
A fight between my mother and my brother.
When you say fight, you mean a physical altercation?
No, I just mean an argument, a lot of yelling.
Okay. And where did this argument take place?
Right between the den and the foyer.
In the house?
Yes.
When you entered this house from outside, would you be standing in an open area?
Yeah, you were standing in the foyer at that point.
That's what you refer to as the foyer.
Mm-hmm.
And was there a staircase on the right that went upstairs?
Yes.
And was there a sort of gallery that cut across? Halfway into the foyer, was there like a lower ceiling?
You mean a balcony?
Yeah, the balcony.
Yes, the balcony.
And were they in the area beneath the balcony?
Just in front of it.
So
To
they
the
were
side of the bathroom.
past the balcony. There's another section of the foyer that leads to a bathroom and the den.
Yes.
So they were closer to the den than the part with the balcony.
Yes.
And how did you come upon this argument? Did they come out of a room
They
towards
came out
you?
of the den.
Okay.
And my mom came out first, and she was yelling, and she was saying, "You don't need it. I don't care. I don't care what you want. You're not having it." And Lyle was right behind her, saying, "Please, please, I need it. It's not that big a deal. It's important to me."
Now, at that point, did you have any idea what they were talking about?
No, I had no idea what they were talking about.
And do you know where you were coming from?
I was coming from my car.
Do you know where you had been?
I don't remember where I'd been.
Okay. And this mom yelling at Lyle, was this a unique experience in your life?
No, not at all.
And how typical was it for your mother to be yelling at Lyle?
She yelled at Lyle all the time.
Did she yell at you all the time?
Not as much as she yelled at Lyle.
And on this particular occasion, on this Tuesday, did she appear to be angry?
Oh, yeah, she was really angry.
And was that an unusual condition for her in relation to when she was dealing with Lyle?
No, she was usually very angry when she was dealing with Lyle, but she was really angry a lot that summer.
Okay. And what happens after you hear this exchange between your mother and Lyle?
He was just saying I need it, and she just took a hold of his hair and just ripped it off.
What did you think at that point?
I didn't know what to think. I couldn't believe it. I didn't understand at first, and then it hit me, and then I realized, and I...
What didn't you understand? What hit you? What did you realize?
Well, she just pulled off his hair, and I knew he had something done to his hair, but I didn't know what, and within a moment I realized that it was a hairpiece, but I just couldn't believe it.
At first, what did you think it was?
I thought it was his hair.
That she was ripping off his scalp, basically?
Yes.
Now, you said you knew he had something done to his hair. What do you mean by that?
Well, I knew that his hair was beginning to fall out, and I had heard about a conversation that he and Mom and him had, I guess. I don't really remember it that well, but I know that suddenly he had a full head of hair, and it was always neat, always perfect, and I didn't quite understand what had happened.
Well, didn't that tell you he wore a toupee?
I didn't know really much about those sorts of things. I mean, I knew what a toupee was, but I thought it was obvious when you wore one, and I couldn't imagine that my brother was wearing one.
Because it didn't seem obvious?
I played tennis with him. I went swimming with him. It did not seem like he was wearing a toupee at all.
So you thought it was some other method by which his hair was thickened or restored?
Yeah, I thought it was some sort of surgery. I didn't know exactly what it was.